Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name is MattMoore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm joined by the future Jays, Jim Turvey, back from Radish Pickin' at Turvey Bets. Also joined by Joe Dellera at Joe Dellera, because Joe is just very literal, at Joe Dellera. That's it. No branding. The brand is just his fucking name, and that is it. He's the host of the Cash That Podcast. You can catch that. Jim's over at Roto Grinders, grinding out projections all throughout the week. So make sure to check out Jim's work over at Roto Grinders. Today's show, we're going to hit you with a little bit of a conversation about some of the process that we've used for MVP in the past, and not just MVP, but the awards, and how whether things are changing or we're in a momentary kind of valley, an uncanny valley, so to speak, of where things are reality's a little bit different. Just now we're in like a pocket dimension right now, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll give you a future of the week, though, a play that we like that you can find at DraftKings, as well as we'll do best bets, obviously, for the Monday slate in the association, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. So you guys can get in on all those. You can find those in the Action Network app. Best way for you to track your picks. Sign up for Action Pro. You get stuff like Sean Kerner has apparently like a 50% ROI on NBA props so far this season, which has surprised no one, because the man is some sort of mystical genie that has been sent here to make everyone money. So go make sure you sign up for Action Pro so you can get that. You can get Brandon Anderson's futures. This is where Brandon starts sniping at like great future lines in the NFL, because he's very good about not getting caught in the moment and just playing like what the best actual approach is going to be. And he does it consistently, and he does it over and over and over again. And he's awesome at it. So make sure to sign up for Action Pro for that as well. If you're watching at youtube.com/the Action Network, please give us a like and subscribe. Like, we really want to get the page up. We have goals for this year. We want to hit them, but we need your help. Please help us by hitting the like and subscribe at youtube.com/the Action Network. All right. So we talk about futures here on the Future Jays. And this is a week where like we don't have like, it's really funny because every week the guys are like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything. And then they start researching, and then they're like, I have 7 things we should bet. But there is like a broader question, I think, that comes up when we talk about both MVP and when we talk about DPOY. I think that there's like a very big conversation to be had about some of the stuff that we've done historically in trying to identify the patterns of voters that is getting shook a little bit this year, at least early on. And we'll have to figure out whether or not we want to stick to those kind of principles or not as the year goes on. Jim, this was kind of your idea, something that you wanted to talk about. Can you kind of dive in and explain what I'm talking about here? Yeah,
definitely. So I feel like, at least for myself, I think all of us kind of to different degrees, we're using the rules that Brandon kind of laid out. And I went back to those articles. He wrote them before the 2022-2023 season. So that'll be good to kind of check in the last 3 years and kind of see if those rules had stuck or if they were kind of crumbling a little bit. We're going to talk about 3 awards mainly tonight. So I did the research on these 3 with DPOY, MVP, and 6th Man of the Year. Start with DPOY because I think this is the one that has the best case for kind of crumbling. The rules are just kind of going out the window. So in Brandon's article, there were 4 things basically. You had to be a big man. You had to be through your first 4 seasons. Like, you had to have some veteran presence, in part because it was a big thing if you had received a Defensive Player of the Year award vote, like a first place vote previously. Every single winner had done that. And then the other big thing was, since 2008, every DPOY winner had finished in the top 5 of defensive rating per Basketball Reference. So if we look at the 3 winners since, we've got Jaren Jackson Jr. He checked all the boxes. Big man, 5th season, had previously received a first place vote. Memphis was the 2nd defense rating. Bang. I believe Brandon gave that out at one point during the season. No surprise. Next year, Gobert, big man, 11th season, previous winner, Minnesota 1st defense. We're good. Last year is when things started to get funky. I think that this is like the Wemby of it all, and I'm sure we'll talk on that as we talk about this race in general, because he is the prohibitive favorite right now. He was as well last year until he got hurt, and then the race got wide open. We ended up with Evan Mobley, who was a big man still, but he was in his 4th season, so he was a little bit earlier in the career. He did have a previous first place vote, but Cleveland had the 8th rated defense, so that was far off of that top 5 defensive rating. Now, if we look at this year, Wemby is the favorite. Wemby is a big man, but he's in his 3rd season, which would be earlier than all these others. He did receive a first place vote. I was surprised by this when he received a first place vote in his rookie year, which is, pretty telling about him kind of breaking all these rules in general. And right now they have the 6th ranked defense. So they're a little bit outside of that other metric as well. But I mean, we just saw Mobley last year, as slightly younger than standard and with the team defensive rating slightly off of the top 5. Wemby's basically doing that on steroids. I think that this race is pretty much over. We were kind of going back and forth today about how much respect does this OKC defense get? Is there a way to give it to an OKC defense? Are they actually better than last year's defense? I think the conclusion we came to, and correct me if I'm speaking for either of you guys out of turn here, is that it does seem like Wemby will break a few of these rules. And it's not, you're not going to bet at minus 320. Maybe you can sprinkle some long shots if you're interested. But to my eyes, I was never really worried about the Wemby injury from last year. I didn't think that was going to carry over. And it looks like with them being, if they're a top 6 defense, I think that's a wrap. I think they'd have to drop much, much further down the rankings for this not to just be over already.
Yeah, I'm actually fully in lockstep with you on this one, Jim. We had conversations in the offseason about trying to bet into this market and whether it was worth trying to fade Wemby. And I think we both kind of just agreed. It was look, if he gets hurt and he misses time and it's early enough in the season, we felt that we could look at the market and make a decision at that point and say, all right, it's not worth betting on a Wemby injury, especially when realistically what he went through last season was not it's not a conventional injury. It's not something that we really had good time frame of and said you could say, well, this is going to happen or it's likely to reoccur or anything like that, right? So I think he's young, he's hyper athletic. He spent a lot of time in the off season doing a variety of different trainings, I think, to ready his body for the season. The dude just looks unbelievable. And I actually think that having De'Aaron Fox back is going to help this defense a little bit because in my brain anyway, having Fox back means your offense is going to be a little bit better and you probably play fewer possessions in transition, which as good as Wemby is, as good as he can impact transition defense and maybe stifle some of those transition opportunities, if you just get to set up in the half court and you're Wemby, I think that that's only a benefit for his defense and for their defensive rating. So to me, I don't really think it's worth betting on anybody else in this market. And if Wemby for some reason does have an injury that would disqualify him from winning the award, then I'll just assess at that point and just say, well, what does this market look like now? And is there anybody that there's some value in? But I think it's okay to say, well, I don't need to go bet Chet, for example, at 8-1 or whatever he is now. And on the off chance that Wemby gets hurt. And then honestly too, Chet misses time. So it's not you're betting into a market where you need not only one player to get hurt, but you also need your player to not get hurt. And I don't like that when a lot of the people that I think are the favorites outside of Wemby are players that we've often seen injured and missing time.
This is one of those where it's I can argue all the individual points, but I'm still in the same place as you. This defense is not any look under the hood. So I did the schedule stuff, right? And you could be well, the schedule stuff is so small and and it's heavily influenced by who you play. If you're a really good defense, then their offense looks really bad. And that's definitely true, even though it's getting less and less every day. Yeah. So they're giving up the 9th highest expected field goal percentage in the league right now. And
but don't you think Wemby kind of breaks expected field goal percentage?
For the guys that he's guarding, yes, Jim, but Victor can't guard all 5 guys.
Yeah.
He can guard 3 of them, maybe even 4, but he can't guard 5. And so I don't think they're going to be a top 10 defense. I don't think they're going to be a top 5 defense. You should not win DPOY if you're not the centerpiece of a top 5 defense. That should not be how we do this. It's absolutely how we're going to do this. Because Jimmy Butler tried a shot the other night that no one should be able to block, and Wembanyama absolutely swatted it, and that's all they're going to care about.
Matt, can I ask you 2 questions? So first of all, so the dunks and threes of it all, dunks and threes has them as the 18th best defense right now. Do you think end of season they end up that low, or do you think they're more 15th? And I'll ask that in 2-parter. I'll also ask, where do you think they will end up on Basketball Reference by the end of the season? and what is the lowest they could be that this then gets interesting? Or do you think it doesn't even matter? People aren't even going to look at that stat.
They're not even going to look at it. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is like,
even last year they didn't care.
Yeah. There are enough voters that, talk about this. Those of us that work in this field and like analyze the game on a nightly basis, like you have to be an analyst to take this kind of approach. Even if you're a writer about the NBA and you tell stories and you have a vote and you know things and you know stats and all these types of things, you don't care enough to be like, yeah, but like their defense sucks. You're just gonna be like, yeah, he's awesome. It's definitely that guy. Yeah, but like the defense isn't that good. Don't care. Have you seen Wemby? He's awesome. Like you're never gonna feel bad about that vote. You're never gonna regret it. It's just as simple as that.
And
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you keep going.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, like on the stat side of this, I think that they'll finish somewhere between 8th and 14th based off of 3-point luck. Is what I would say is like what I expect. Like I do not watch them and be like, oh man, what a ferocious, incredible defense. I watch them and I'm kind of like, okay. So like for example, like one of the things here is they allow the 17th most. Sorry, they are back half of the league in opponent corner 3-point rate. They are back half of the league in opponent overall 3-point rate. Some of that is you can't score inside, so you're taking more threes because you don't want to go after Wemby. You do run the risk though, and when you're trying to do the analysis of just shortcutting everything and being like, well, it's because of Wemby. Like it's where it's like the opponent is missing wide open corner threes in the minutes where Wembanyama's out there. That just shows you how scary Wemby is. They imagine he's there like a Spectre Slender Man. And it's like, no, but like to your point, like there's just like he's gonna win. Like he's just gonna win.
If you had a vote, and I'll ask you one more because I'm curious about your framing of it too. Because I think you sometimes undersell the rest of the media being as smart as you are. I think that there are more, especially now in the modern era. I think there are more smart voters. So I do think framing it as you would perceive it does hold some value. So right now, PBP stats are favorite with Wemby on the court. They would have the second best rating. So for you to look at this award, are you going to look at that? Like, do you weigh that at all? And what number would he have to maintain? Like, if they're a top 5 defense with him on the court, does that in your mind then be like, okay, I can give it to him?
Yeah, it matters. So like, if he wound up with a better on-court defensive rating than Chet Holmgren, that would influence my vote.
That's not going to happen though. But what if Chet maybe, but let's say it doesn't happen. Let's say Chet is and all those guys on the Thunder are clearly number 1, but he's like a top 5. Would you still give it to him, or would you make the Thunder deserve a winner for having this defense? Are you
assuming the other 4 are Thunder guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean top 5 individual player. I meant like their team. Like if you took, so he's at like their defensive ratings like 107, which would be second best as like a team defensive. But if you look at Chet and his is like 103,
right?
All the Thunder guys are higher individually, but like if you took his out for when he's on the court and put it into like the overall rankings, they were like top 5. Would that be enough for you or no?
No.
Yeah, you'd want a Thunder guy.
Yeah, I still would. I don't understand why we're doing this. I just don't understand. This is the best defense that we've seen since the 2004 Pistons. Everyone agrees with it.
And
why?
So
why? Can't be every other award. We're like, because of the talent of the player. In this one particular one, we're like, nah, let's give it to the guy with the block numbers. Cool.
So what if Chet misses too many games? Who would it be for you?
If 1 through, no, I would still go Dort, man. I think Dort should have won last year.
But Dort's missed 6 games too.
Sure. Okay. Jim, yes. If Wemby has the 5th best defensive rating, averages 4 blocks a game, and all of the 4 Thunder players above him have not reached the 65 games minimum, then yes, I will vote. I would vote for Victor Wembanyama in the fictional vote that I have.
I do think that though it matters in a particular way. Like if you frame it in like from a different perspective, right? Like if you look at it and you say you looked at Oklahoma City, you go, they have a ton of really solid defensive players. Like they have a system that's in place. Wemby is the system.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. So I hear what you're saying, Joe, and I agree with you because I actually think defense is more systemic than anything in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Like it just is. Like it's way more systemic. That's why you see defenses hold up when individual players are out. But the problem with that is, okay, defense is systemic, but Wemby is the system. But their system isn't as good as the other systems.
Yeah,
even when he's on the court.
I think that's more of a testament, though, to the fact that, like, Oklahoma City is just overall, like, they're a much better team than San Antonio. Like, if you looked at the Spurs, and I mean, it's kind of I think this is the closest comparison. This sounds crazy in a way, but, like, it's really like Gobert. Like, when Gobert is on the floor, the defense is just dramatically better no matter what metric you look at for every team he's ever been on. Yeah. And it's just, he is the system. You put him in, and the team is just automatic. They're top 10 defense. And I think, and that puts him, that's what's helped actually put him in this DPOY conversation like every single year too. So I think that kind of goes to the Wemby of it. But also, I think that part of what Jim is saying is like, you have a lot of these voters that are just like, I want to give Wemby, I want to give it to him. Like, he's going to get one. And we want to make sure that he gets one sooner rather than later because we want to like anoint him. I think that if he had already won a DPOY, I think that we could have a much more like candid conversation about somebody else winning the award. But I think because he hasn't won one, there's this like, we want to give him an award.
Yeah, well, and this also gets into this whole thing of like, well, okay, if you put Wembanyama on the Thunder, then you would give it to him. And it's like, yeah, I would, but he's not. Like, you on some level of this, you're parsing such greatness, you have to be like, I'm sorry, sometimes this is not going to be fair. Like, here's a good example, Jim, is like Aaron Gordon had minimum 30 minutes played per game. Aaron Gordon has the second best defensive rating in the league. Would I vote for Aaron Gordon over Victor Wembanyama for defensive player? No, I would not. Like, that is not a thing I would do. So, like, a vote for Wemby is not crazy. I'm not suggesting that a vote for Wembanyama is crazy. And I definitely don't think that I'm smarter than the other voters. I think that the way that the voters do look at it, and a lot of this is that when you think voter, Jim, you think of Zach Lowe and Dan Devine, Rob Mahoney, and, like, I think of, like, different people. And so that just causes like a little bit of the discrepancy, I think.
No, I'll push back against that slightly. Actually, this is if you'll allow me to do the transition out, I think this actually transitions well to sixth man of the year. Okay. Because one thing, so let's if we can, we'll go sixth man of the year here. So historically, it was and again, this is before 2022-23 season, a guard 16 to 18 points a game, 50 win team. This one is also crumbling because all 3 years since have broken one of those things you want to do. Brogdon was a guard, but he averaged 14, under sub 15 points per game, but he was a 57 win team. Then Naz Reid won, who was a forward, and he averaged under 14 points a game on a 56 win team. Then you got Peyton Pritchard, who was a guard, but averaged 14.3 on a 60 win team. So it's skewing fewer points, more wins, which I would argue is a sharper read of this award and a smarter read of who it should be given to. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yes, I will agree with you that the voting has gotten smarter over time. That I will definitely agree with you on.
But you think it's smarter, but it's still not up to a certain tier.
No, actually DPOY in particular is the biggest problem because like if you actually, I've said this for years, if you really want to do DPOY, if you really want to do it, if you actually were like, we want to take this as seriously as possible, you need to create a 6-man committee that is made up of 2 coaches, 2 players, and 2 media members. And their job is nothing to decide that because you have to watch so much fucking tape. Like, there's no other way to do it because most of defense is just not allowing things to happen.
Yeah.
Like, Rudy Gobert doesn't get the respect that he deserves because half of the time a guy starts to drive and is like, nope. And the same thing happens obviously with Wemby where guys are like, aha, I've gotten off of my screen and there's a lane and shit, there's a pterodactyl. Nope. Like, they go the other way. But with like Lou Dort, or here's another one. Like, I think Jalen Williams probably, if I'd done the actual, all the work, probably might've been my DPOY last year based off of the film work that I did, because every single Thunder play where I was looking for reasons to support Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and his defense as a reason to vote for him for MVP. That was the purpose of what I was doing. Every play I was like, shit, Jalen Williams fucked that play up. Oh, Jalen Williams made this insane rotation. It's all of these little things that you have to do versus like with 6-man. I think that one's like a much better way to be like, hey, why don't we not just give it to the guy that like chucks a lot of shots? Why don't we not just do that? And that's like a good evolution, I think, of the award.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Well, Joe, did you have thoughts on 6-man? I had a couple thoughts here. Right now, Taquez is the favorite with AJ Mitchell behind him. I know we talked about him briefly on recent episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned Jaquez a couple weeks ago. It was 30-1. I'm not sure what's his number right now, Jim?
Plus 270. So if you grab that, you're in a great spot and potentially could leverage it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can't buy now. Like it's outrageous to buy now, especially with Tyler Hero coming back. If anything, I think the point is now, like, let's go bet on somebody else. Like let's go open this market up. So I'll pass it back to you, Jim.
Yeah, I'll follow up on the Jaquez thing. So right now he's shooting 75% from 0 to 3 feet. If you watch any of these Heat games, he really is like he's basically just attacking the rim constantly and getting into those little mini fadeaways, which he is very good at. Even for his career, he shoots 67% in that area, which is pretty impressive for a guy who is a lot of like turnaround mini, like almost like hook shot. He's got that look down, but I think that's coming down. Probably that should probably bring him down about 2 points a game. Hero and Bam should be back soon, like you just said. That should probably bring him down like 2 to 3 minutes, which is probably another point. And then his usage with those guys back should probably drop. He's up at 22 right now. Career's more like 19 to 20. So that's like another 3 points. So like now we're down to like 12 points a game, which on its own in this modern era might not be a deal breaker. But I don't think Miami's going to be a 56-win team. That's the other part of this. They've really wanted voters, at least again in seasons past. If we're going to do this looking at seasons past, which I think we should kind of talk about as the overarching thing at the end, whether we even want to be using these previous seasons to kind of try and read voter trends. It seems like even a 14-point score, say he holds at 14 points on like a 45-win Heat team, I don't think he should be this heavy of a favorite this early in the season. So AJ Mitchell's interesting. He's the second favorite, but he also he's like one of those where you can go like, but this, but that, but this, but that. Like, so he's, there's no J-Dub so far. Dort's missed games. Wiggins has missed games, but his shooting is actually lower than last season. So if anything, he could regress up a little bit. And I kind of think the Thunder do this all season where they just rotate guys out. So like that's a point in his favor. But then at the same time, AJ Mitchell's already almost reached his point total his minutes total from last season. And if he's really this good, they might start wanting to rest him as well and give him games off. Or, you don't want to, it's hard to predict injury, but like if a guy goes from like 400 minutes last year or 500 minutes last year to playing like well over 1,000 minutes, it is a little bit, like, oh, that, especially if they're going to sit you, if you're even anything close to hurt, I do think there's a chance that he, could pick up an injury here or there. So all that to say, I think there are a couple of interesting long shots. I think on the Thunder, Wiggins was the guy who Andrew O'Connor-Watts was on before the season. I really like. He's still at 35-1. That to me is a keep an eye on. But the other two guys, I mean, Naz Reid has won this award before. We know they love repeat winners. He has not really played all that well, and his stats are like among the better players off the bench, and he's 25-1 right now. And I think the best one here, the really best by kind of long shot in this market right now is Onyeka Okongwu. This was another one that gave out preseason. He gets all the games that Porzingis sits and goes crazy. The last 3 games, he's averaging like well over 20 points. For the season as a whole, he's averaging almost 19 points, 8 rebounds, and almost 3 assists a game. And Matt, I know you like the Hawks in general. They just picked up another nice comeback win tonight. If they can get to the high 40s and he's averaging almost 20 points off the bench, and he's a very good, impactful player, I think he could be a pretty interesting guy for this award. So he's out there at 30-1. He was up at books earlier today as high as 75-1. Do we have this back up here for 6-man? Where is he now?
Let's go.
Onyeka Okongwu is not on that current sheet because he is still off of the board, it looks like, at DK for right now.
Okay.
But no, I'm sorry, that is wrong. He's the 4th highest name at 15-1.
So he moved 60 cents today. So someone else really enjoyed the game he had today. Hopefully it didn't move too much everywhere. But the Onyeka, I think there's a reason it moved a bunch today. I think that is a very good bet potentially.
So there's a couple of other ones that I will be keeping an eye on. I don't want to bet into the market yet. So one of the things I will tell you is like you're like on the Heat on a 45-win team. Well, I have the Heat projected for a lot more than that. Like I think the Heat are good we'll see what happens tomorrow with this Knicks rematch. They're still keeping their head above water without Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Like and those aren't guys that I expect to come back and mess with things, which is my usual inclination, is to be like, yeah, but you get high usage guys back and it screws with things. I don't Hero a little bit, but not Bam. So Hawkes, I am kind of like, all right, because you're like, if he averages 14 on a 45 win Heat team, okay, but what if he averages 14 X and X on a 49 win Heat team or a 50 win Heat team? That looks a little bit different. And by the same token, the other team, like this to me looks like who is a really good scorer on a team that is unexpectedly good. And the one that I kind of keep looking at is Anthony Simons at 40-1.
And your Celtics belief?
Yeah, because like all the numbers really suggest that Boston's probably a lot better than the record. Now, that doesn't always work out. Sometimes the team is just like, yeah, they should have been better than the record, but they're not. You know why? Because they suck. But if the numbers bear out over the large sample and Boston makes a run, Anthony Simons at 40-1, I think it's really interesting. Joe, you don't have a 6-man for the Knicks you want to support here? Is it?
I mean, Josh Hart is awesome, but I'm a little bit hesitant to bet on anybody on the Knicks for that award specifically, just because like we just are seeing a lot of guys step up, and I think that like Clarkson looked awesome last time out. Josh Hart obviously fills in a pretty big role, and he slots in for a lot of different players as well. But you are seeing a little bit more depth than usual with New York, so I think that kind of caps some of it to a degree. Plus, like I do have I have the Onyeka position from this show or like before the season started, so I feel pretty good about that. But I am like a little bit interested in like, is there a palette for wanting to maybe give like Alonzo Ball an award if the Cavs are the number 1 seed in the East? Just because I think he kind of slots in. He does a little bit of everything. Like the rebounds are there, the threes are there, the assists are there. I don't know if the numbers are going to pop off the page, but at the same time, like I feel like some of these things are pivoting off of what, maybe like looking towards what players actually are doing on the court and how they're contributing to winning, as opposed to just like some of the empty stats that we often see.
I mean, I would love that, because if we had any evidence of that, I would be hammering Jamal Shed. Hammering Jamal Shed.
Raptors aren't that good though.
Raptors are good. How dare you?
I think you got to be like, if you're going to go that far down in terms of like what the numbers are, you got to be the 1 seed. Like it's got to be.
I would be careful with Lonzo, because he's not playing back-to-backs, and he's got that hard minutes limit, so he's only averaging
also like
6 points a game.
He's not going to win.
Here's the number. Here's the numbers. Is like Lonzo's averaging 5.2 points per game. Shed's averaging 6.5. They're both averaging 5.1 assists.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that's kind of where we're at here. Another kind of sneaky good one. If he could just get a little, he's shooting 38.5% from the field, 39% from 3 though. Most of his shots are from 3. If Colin Gillespie will just get like a little better, because I think the Suns team is actually pretty decent. Quentin Grimes is maybe the other one here that we're overlooking. I just don't know which way the Sixers are going to go.
No,
I don't know which way they're going to go, because like Grimes is 5th in bench scoring right now.
Yeah.
They also still need Paul George back. Each person that comes back for them just bumps folks down.
Yeah.
I do wonder, like, is there any value? Like Malik Monk's 35-1. The Kings are an absolute dumpster fire. Like I would imagine some team might come in and say, hey, like we want him, like we'll trade for him. He's our 6th man. Then now all of a sudden Malik Monk is the 6th man on a team that's actually good, contending for a top playoff spot. And then you're like, wow, like this makes total sense.
Like if the Pistons went out and got him or something. I like that as a look of like who could get traded into a good spot. I think that's sharp.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, are we good, or you want to hit MVP too?
Let's do MVP super quick. This is another one where we have like some history, and it's at least 25 points a game, top 2 or 3 seed, play basically every game, and you're 24 to 28 years old. Jokic misses. So Jokic recently overtook Shea as the favorite. I think now it's pretty even. But Jokic is 30. We talked about this, you and I, Matt, before the show. I was trying to talk you into buying low on Shea here. pointing out that Jokic is shooting 67% from the field, 43% from three, 88% from line. And you're like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to regress. That might just be
Like
the
what?
new Jokic.
What if it doesn't? Yeah.
I personally think there's about 5 points of regression in there across if we sand everything down to like career norms, which would bring him down to like 24 points a game, which is below kind of that average tier. It would be the lowest since Steve Nash in 05-06, based on what I have projected. He's Nikola Jokic. He could easily just shoot 67% from the field for a season because he like really felt like it. But I do think that Shea has quietly kind of bumped those BPM numbers up. So he's got the advanced stats are looking good now. And he's doing the thing again where he's just doing like he's not playing fourth quarters, which is very annoying for our clutch player of the year bet for Shea. But it does do all those stats where it's like who's leading the league in scoring. It's Shea through three quarters. They look so good for MVP stat because it's not only are you like, you're missing out on stats. He really could be averaging 40 a game. It's also like my team is so good. We're so clearly the best team because I do think, if you look at the standings now, Thunder and Nuggets are really close in the standings. I think by the end of the season, that's like a 10-win gap. I think that's like 62-52 or something like that. And I think each win that he has more than Jokic is another point in his favor. So I think you said you can get Shea plus 225 out there right now. I do still think Shea should be the favorite, even though Jokic is doing banana things. He almost has a 20 BPM right now, Matt.
So I gotta say, like, not to annoy a friend of ours, on top of the fact that assists help Jokic's defensive BPM. So I looked at offensive BPM for Jokic, Shea, Giannis, and Luka today. Okay. And the order is Jokic, obviously, at 13.1, which is insane. Then Shea at 9.9, and then Giannis at 9.3. Okay. So they're basically right in the same level. Except Giannis is averaging more assists, shooting better from the field, has a higher true shooting percentage. Like, I don't know what OBPM is doing here. And it
was Shea is scoring more in fewer minutes, right?
Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's the rate. I guess if we look at the per 30s, per 100, it's Shea at 47 points per game, which is outrageous. That will also regress probably. Then Giannis at 46.7. So it's a 0.3 differential per 100. What?
That's crazy.
Why is he like what exactly? Like, it just.
I bet turnover rate is heavy in there because Shea, on top of everything, barely ever turns the ball over.
That's true. 6.2. That's true. He's got half of Giannis's turnover rate. Good call. I just like Shea. I know how good Shea is, and he is. He's great, and I have no problem with him winning MVP last year because Jokic's coach got fired. That's fine, but like Shea's shooting 53% from the field, 37% from three. Like, good. What exactly is he better or as good at as any of these guys?
I mean, I'm with you on thinking that he is not the better player of the two.
Yeah, and you're right that, like, from a betting standpoint, because that was going to be we thought about this being our future of the night, of it being Shea plus 225, because like the Thunder are just gonna they're gonna win 70 games.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't know how you watch night to night or look at the stats. Like, I don't know what analysis gets you to like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is the most valuable player in the league.
Well,
I don't know what gets you there.
We just saw the straw poll, and people agree with you. It was Jokic who got the first, MVP straw poll win of the season. So, like, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that Jokic is favorite now. I just think Jokic's numbers are going to come back to her.
I mean, I agree. I just think that they can, and I would still have it be Jokic and then Luka and then Giannis and then Shea.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it just comes down to, like, Oklahoma City is just destroying teams.
Yeah.
And Shea is doing this, and he's not even playing the fourth quarter. And it's
but he's not playing the fourth quarter because his team's destroying people.
I think that he's a large part of it, though. Like, they get out to these huge leads,
but he's not as much of a reason for it because they're big. What's the biggest reason OKC wins every night?
I think it's the team structure. Like, the team is really good.
But on which side of the ball?
I think on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, But like really, Joe.
I mean, they're good on both sides of the ball. Like the
I know what
defense
you're saying, but like
really
I also it feels very often to me like they cause turnovers and get easy buckets. And we saw in the playoffs their half court offense wobble and shake. Now they won the title because again their defense is insane. But like this is kind of the problem. It's just like, why did the Thunder win? Their defense. That's why the Thunder win.
But I think
Like,
I think
that's why they win.
I think at the same point, and this kind of goes to Jim has talked about Shea for clutch, I think. And I think it goes into this though. Like at the end of the game, in those games that are like how are they winning this game? Like they really didn't look good. The defense is kind of what kept them in the game.
And Shea does it. Yeah.
If the game is within 5 points with like the last, like when Shea checks into the game's over. Oklahoma City wins that game because Shea's got the ball. Like, and I think that people see that then.
I agree, but I also don't know how you say like that's why he's the MVP, and then look at like Giannis and Luka and Jokic doing what they're doing and be like, yeah, it's the same. Like, I mean, there are fucking levels to this. Like, I think my thing is really just like I was fine with him with best record, best differential, all of that, winning 1 MVP. I don't know if I can get on board with 2, but to Jim's point, it doesn't matter what I think, and I think that most voters are going to be like, they won 70 games. He's the best player. He averaged 33 points for the best. He led the league in scoring for the best team in the league.
Well, Tyrese Maxey is going to lead the league in scoring, but then he came in second.
There you go.
I mean, I think it goes like it cuts like both ways, right? Because like we had the conversation about DPOY to like start the show, and then it's like, well, Oklahoma City has the best team, like defense, like they should get it. Like somebody on the team should get it. It shouldn't just be like this freak of nature. Whereas then now it's like, well, let's give it to the freak of nature and not like the best player on the best team. So I think that's kind of what the analysis is. So it's like there's going to be people on both sides of this coin. And like that's just,
I mean, it's also just like, look, Denver's really good.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like if Luka is in shooting distance of this, then like I think that voters want to give Luka something too. I think it really does come down to if you haven't won anything before, like award wise, I do think that that's going to matter at the end of the day. I think that we're at a point in the media where they're like, we don't need to just have this like God figure that's getting MVPs like every year or this award every year. That's not really what is going on. Like people are saying, like, let's reward this level of excellence.
Which is also funny because it's like everyone universally is like, who's the best player in the world? Oh, it's Nikola Jokic. No, now that's not MVP. Like I've said that 100 million times. Yeah. It's not the same thing. But it is just kind of funny that we're willing to like, I don't know. It feels like we just can't get around the understanding of the fact that OKC's structure is so team centric.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be great. Like the one thing the NFL does that I do like is that they have MVP and they have offensive player of the year because they're dramatically different awards. And honestly, like they should be treated differently.
Yeah, I agree. And that's absolutely,
like it makes no sense.
That's absolutely true. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should win neither of them. We will talk about our future of the week. But first, the Buckets Podcast is teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. To get started, use promo code BUCKETSNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BUCKETSNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. The crown is yours. So we've argued about who should win and who won't win in the history of the award, but we will actually give you a better thing tonight. And we did settle on this one. I'll go to Joe Dellera for this one because he came through with this one for us.
So we are looking at Jalen Johnson, most improved player at 30-1. Last season, Jalen Johnson was the player that we were all betting going into the season. And we were all said, he should be the winner. He's the guy. He's going to see this big usage bump. He's going to see a minutes bump. He's going to have an opportunity bump. And he got hurt. And he only played 36 games. Now, through 11 games this season, he's averaging 21.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 1.8 steals for this Atlanta Hawks team. He's actually doing it in a couple fewer minutes. He's playing 32.3 minutes per game as opposed to 35.6 8.7 last season. This is a jump from his points. It's a jump in his assists. It's a jump in his steals. And it's about the same in terms of his rebounds. So I think that there's an idea around Jalen Johnson where you look at it and you go, this guy is really good. He's carrying the team while Trae Young's out. There's obviously a little bit of an opportunity for this to regress a bit. But at the same time, I do think that Jalen Johnson has a legitimate all-star leap. He's got a legitimate all-star opportunity. And this Atlanta Hawks team looks to be at least like pretty good, if not a real contender in this Eastern Conference. So I think that there's plenty of opportunity here for Jalen Johnson to continue this. I think it's sustainable. And realistically, over the last time that he played a full season where he averaged 16 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 3.6 assists, to now being at the numbers that I listed before, basically 21.5, 10, and 6. It's a pretty significant jump over the course of really a couple of years. He's 24 years old. I think he's only going to get better. And, you never know with Trae Young. If he's obviously dealing with some injuries now, but he's not a player that is totally immune to injury that he could carry this. So I think Jalen Johnson at 30-1 is definitely worth a dart here. The number's a little bit long, and I think that we can see, like, looking at this award last year when, Dyson Daniels gets it, and then now we're looking at the situation now where you go, well, like, Jalen Johnson, like, he's the guy. Like, he is the guy that they're supposed to be looking at. He's the guy that they're really building this team around. 30-1, I think, is just too long of a number for somebody of his caliber.
Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, anything Jalen Johnson, I'm always going to love. One of my, the Jalen Johnson All-Stars when I was still writing more about my favorite players who are always undervalued, to the spread. I think the biggest hurdle here will be that he made a little bit of a mini leap last year, so his stats are like coming from a higher baseline. But I do think that the longer Trae is out, especially like leading up to the All-Star game, if he goes the All-Star game kind of as Atlanta's dude for a Hawks team that I think you said you had them number 1 in your rankings for the Eastern Conference. They got a nice comeback win tonight. If they're even like a 2 or 3 seed, hopefully they can give him a couple awards. They could give him Onyeka 6th man and Jalen Johnson MIP, and kind of reward a team that is pretty popular in the media. And, we always talk about Zach Lowe for a reason. He's pretty prominent voice who really can hold some sway, and he's been on the Hawks bandwagon for a second here. So they have eyeballs this year too. I always love a Jalen Johnson play.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. They are now 7-2 without Trae Young. They are plus 16.1 in net rating differential without Trae Young. That is big yikes. If Jalen, so like the award has gone to these guys that have made those leaps. So if the Hawks are actually really good and Jalen Johnson jumps to being their best player and he makes an all-star team, we just got done talking about how the historical markers aren't as relevant, but those will be a lot of the historical markers that we've seen for this kind of team. I actually kind of think that the jump would not be that bad because he didn't play all that many games last year. This is almost like comeback player of the award of the year ish, where it's like got hurt, came back, led the Hawks to a good record, made the jump in all these kind of key areas. That I could definitely see as a narrative people could get behind.
Yeah, I mean, with the favorite being Josh Giddey for this award right now, like, I don't know. Like, I think that Giddey's numbers are obviously really good. He's seen like a massive uptick in his scoring in particular. But I do think that, voters, I don't know how much voters are really going to coalesce around Josh Giddey. Kobe White's back. Kobe White looked fucking awesome today. And I think that, maybe cuts into Josh Giddey a little bit. And then, the other candidates that are at the top of the board, like Jalen Duren is up there. I don't know. Like, I don't think that the scoring is necessarily going to pop the same way. The rebounds are basically static over previous years. Then Denny Avdia, I know we all we have differing opinions on how good the Blazers are, but if that is like a house of cards, then, that's going to, I think, go out the window. And then you're looking at like Ryan Rollins is the only other guy less than 10-1 on the market right now. And then you're looking at other players like Austin Reeves, Amen Thompson, Jalen Johnson, Jaime Jaquez. Like, I think that Jalen Johnson has the most legitimate chance out of all these guys outside of maybe Giddey to really make an all-star team and be looked at as the face of like this really good team. And I think that's the thing that differentiates him from Giddey in particular, is that I don't think any of us really think the Bulls are good. Like, I think we all are just like,
how dare you?
they're winning a couple games, like whatever. I don't think any of us are like, yeah, they're good. Whereas I think, even though like I'm a little bit skeptical about Atlanta, I think that they have a much higher chance of being like a top 4 seed in the East than Chicago does when we get to the end of the season. And if we're looking at this where Jalen Johnson's maybe filling in this role, I think there's also a lot of opportunity for him to pick up like some extra stats here where Porzingis is always out of the lineup. Trae Young is obviously hurt right now. There's a lot of opportunity for him to just continue to eat up this usage and put up some monster stat lines. So
sorry, the last name on the most improved player board DraftKings is Nikola Jokic at 25,000.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
What? Why not Jokic for most improved? Yeah, I think Jalen's a really good bet here because I think an interesting question is who gets an all-star spot right now in the East, Jalen Duren or Jalen Johnson, if you had to pick one.
I really like Jalen Duren. I was gonna say that was the name we kind of skipped over. I really like Jalen Duren, and I think
we gave it out. We actually
Fonseca was on that, right?
Yeah, Fonseca was out of it because somebody was picking radishes, so we were able to get that out. But for this week, our DraftKings Sportsbook Future of the Week is Jalen Johnson, most improved 30-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.